Jules, how did you end up being a confidence coach?
Well, of course, it was my childhood dream. It's what you set out to do, isn't it? Um, by the same token that most people do is, I personally came to coaching because I had my own little mini meltdown, although it was quite a significant meltdown actually. I was in a previous career working as a stage manager, so I worked in TV and theatre around the country in the UK. And for 7 years of the 10 years, I absolutely loved the job. And it was full on and it was perfect and it was all consuming. But then I hit a point where I realized that it wasn't serving me anymore. And actually, I was finding it a struggle. And the things that I'd been using to cope in my life, which at that time was alcohol, well, initially started off with food, then it escalated with alcohol and then escalated into drugs. They didn't seem to be working anymore. They weren't. I wasn't coping, basically. And through that, I kind of kept trying to get by, and was hoping that it's one of those things where I think most people do it. Think, well, if I just keep plowing through it, then it'll be all right. Or if I bury my head in the sand, it'll go away. And it didn't. And that meant that the things that I felt uncomfortable with about myself kept coming to the surface again. And I blamed my environment. I blamed it was my work, as many people do. They either blamed their work or their relationship or their financial situation or the weather. And in actual fact, so I left thinking that if I leave the theatre and if I get out of show business, it'll make a difference. But actually what that did was it exposed me to actually how uncomfortable I felt within my own skin, how much I didn't like myself, and actually made me realise that I had no confidence. And I hit a rock bottom place, basically, and attempted to take my own life, and thankfully was a failure at that. And through conversations I was having with various people around me at that point, this word coaching, or in fact it was life coaching, got mentioned to me, and I got the opportunity to go along and have a go with some of it as the coachee. And it really helped me because it helped me get to see that there was another way forward. I didn't have to go through the whole, well, this happened and therefore then that happened. I didn't have to go through the historics of my life. Just gave me the opportunity of just drawing a line under that and recognizing this is where I am. Okay, how do I move forward? One day, the coach I was working with said to me, have you been doing some training on this in between our sessions? Have you been doing some reading up and researching about coaching? I was like, no, why? Did I miss that bit of homework? Am I meant to have done? And I said, no, I haven't. Why? And he said, it's just that you seem to do this really naturally. I've just watched you in the way that you talk with other people, but also when we're talking, you start coaching me. But I didn't know if you realised that you were doing it or not. No, I didn't. So that kind of like planted a seed, and I started to look into it and thought, okay, well, maybe this is something I can just do for the moment. And then kind of trained in that and really liked it, and then trained in more of it, and then trained in some more of it. And then the last part of what I was training, I had to have case studies. And the case studies started referring me to their friends. And of course, these friends are then turning up and going, so how much do you charge? I was like, oh, I get to charge for this, do I? Right, okay. And it was through those process of those case studies and working with other people that I kind of realised that this is a way I could earn my living. But it also gave me the insight that my perceived lack of confidence and my lack of understanding around confidence was also going to give me an insight into how other people were feeling. And it didn't matter whether they were coming about relationships or finances or their health issue, or it really didn't matter if it was career. What kept coming up over and over again is words like haven't got the confidence, or I don't believe in myself, or I can't be assertive, or I'm not resilient in that way. And so I just thought that having had my experience, actually, this is something that if I could research and understand it even more and get to grips with this confidence stuff, that actually maybe I can help more people rather than it just being about life coaching, which at that time to me seemed wonderfully generic, and I think I wanted to specialise a little bit more. So I just dived into it about 10 years ago and thought, okay, I'm going to take the bull by the horns and kind of rip this to pieces, and I'm still going with it. It is, to me, I always think of it like a library. I go into this library and I go, yay, great. And I take the time and I work through all these different bits of books and informations and exercises and methodologies and get all this great information about confidence and what it really is. And then I go to take what I think is the last book off the shelf. And as I take that last book off, another door opens and it goes into this other whole nother library and a different level of understanding. And at first I used to get quite frustrated at that of, oh, haven't quite graduated yet. But now I get excited about it because it's just another layer and another layer and another layer. So I use the phrase that I didn't start my business started me, because that's kind of how it really feels, that I was given these opportunities, having fallen in the way that I felt I did, that these opportunities came up and they helped me, but they've also guided me in a way to be able to learn about this stuff so that I can help other people.
And you've just celebrated your 10th birthday in business.
I have, yes.
So what have been the highlights in those 10 years?
Oh, wow. I think one of the first times that I was invited to speak, and it was really small. I think there were about 12 people in the room at the time. And it was somebody who just said, can you come and just tell us your story? And at that point I thought, oh God, why would anyone want to know my story? It's so boring. But I hadn't kind of realised the relevance then of being able to stand there and go, yeah, I've fallen down. I've had a meltdown. It's, I've had problems happen, because so many of us keep it into ourselves. So the first time that I was invited to do that, having been somebody who worked backstage and didn't want to be on the stage, that was a real gift and has opened an amazing amount of doors to me, including feeling comfortable enough to put myself forward for the competition Britain's Next Top Coach, and genuinely just thinking, I'm just going to go for this and see. And it was all online. It was all videos, but all online. And I think in the end, it was something like 95 countries got involved with the competition. And that really inspired me to recognise and clarify my message in a lot of ways. And it shocked me. It really did blow me away, because I went from being in the main bunch of contestants through to being in the 12 semi-finals, semi-finalists even, through to the 4 in the final. And by that point, I was the last female standing, which I'm not usually one to kind of wave a flag card of gender. But actually for me in that moment, that felt quite significant to go, oh, look, there is a difference here. And it's that I haven't got the same bits as these ones. So that felt really special. And even though I didn't win, I was the first runner-up. And the moment I got through to the final, the guys, Terry and Ian, who created Britain's Next Top Coach, took me to one side and said, look, regardless of what happens, obviously we're crowning you Britain's Next Top Female Coach. And that just meant so much to me. And it was the way people rallied around to support me with that. And that kind of blew me away, really. And thinking the difference between that talk with 12 people and then being in front of a load of people in an online competition. And then the next level with that, which was about 18 months ago, I was invited on BBC Breakfast Television. And knowing that I'm on a television programme that gets watched by 7 million viewers every day was just, my brain couldn't comprehend it. But it was just that to me actually kind of sums up my journey of how I have gone from feeling so down on myself to feeling comfortable to being in front of a camera with 7 million people. It was just amazing. So grateful for that. So grateful.
And as you look ahead to the next 10 years, do you have any plans, intentions, loose ideas about what's going to come next?
More loose ideas, I suppose, than general plans. I want to write my second book. Within 10 years, I'm hoping I've written more than 2. However, seeing as the second one that I want to complete has been kind of on my shoulder, nagging at me for about 3 years, and I haven't completed that yet. So that would be my first one, is to finish that. I also, something that I started doing 4 years ago now, this is my 4th year of running retreats. And I absolutely love doing those. And this year, in fact, just in the last couple of weeks, one of my clients invited me to go and do it in her hometown, which happened to be in Perth, Australia. So that was just fantastic to now say that I have run retreats in Scotland, in England, and in Perth, Australia is really lovely. And I'd love to do those in various other locations. And I've still got there's a particular course that kind of I'm still wanting to mould and get out there in a different way. For me, I feel like I'm still a beginner, both in business and as a coach, because I just think that there is so much to watch as it unfolds and so much to learn, and I don't quite know where it goes next. And I've got I have to have this by such and such a day. I kind of dropped doing that sort of stuff a few years ago. So my real intent, if I'm going to be really honest, is I actually want to make this job redundant. That's my intent, is whether I can do that in 10 years. But I would love there to be no need for a confidence coach in this world. Because to me, if this job is redundant, that means that people are believing in themselves and have an understanding of authentic confidence. So in any way, shape or form, if I can reach out to people, if I can connect with people to play my part in that unfolding of human learning and human evolution, then I'll do whatever it is needed to do that. I suppose that would be my big audacious goal, if you wanted to put it that way.
Yeah. Well, it's an amazing thing that you're doing, Jules. I'm sure everyone is looking forward to seeing how it all unfolds for you. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.